4 volunteers for a humanitarian aid group were all convicted in federal court last month on charges related to leaving food and water in the desert for migrants. It remains to be seen how the judge's findings impact other humanitarian aid groups along the border. Nancy Montoya followed the trial and explains how we got here.
The Cabeza Prieta National Wildlife Refuge in southern Arizona is 860,000 acres of hot and desolate land. 56 miles of this unforgiving wilderness borders Mexico. In May 2001, 14 out of a group of 26 migrants were found dead of heat exposure near Yuma. The area became known as the Devil's Highway. The incident focused international attention on migrants suffering unspeakable deaths in the Cabeza Prieta area. The tragedy also gave birth to volunteer groups like Humane Borders and the Samaritans, focused on getting water to desperate border crossers. In 2005, a new group calling itself No More Deaths was more vocal about its views on border patrol. These volunteers were younger, more aggressive, and often from out of state.
I don't know if you know this.
The Reverend Robin Hoover, then a member of Humane Borders, is part of the old guard when it comes to humanitarian work along the border.
Is there a big difference between how they do it now and how you did it then?
There are huge differences. No More Death is not a corporation. It does not have a board of directors. It does not have media representatives per se, etc. It's just not the same kind of an organization.
No More Deaths is known for challenging Border Patrol at every turn.
Would you call No More Deaths a more radical group than perhaps the Samaritans or some of the other aid groups? We seem to see No More Deaths being more vocal.
Sure, No More Deaths is very vocal.
Catherine Gaffney moved to Tucson 10 years ago from New York, specifically to volunteer to do remote desert treks for No More Deaths and leave food and water for migrants.
We are in allyship, and every group in this movement is a piece of the puzzle. So first of all, Samaritans, Humane Borders, Derechos Humanos, and really immigrant justice groups across the country, we're all in this together.
Now, during the summer of 2017, 4 women with No More Deaths set out in a 4-wheel drive vehicle on a dirt road and then hiked to a trail in a remote area of Cabeza Prieta. They knew migrants would use the trail after crossing the border illegally. The women left several gallons of water jugs and self-opening cans of beans. They had no permit to enter the protected wildlife refuge, but they chose to go anyway. They thought there would be little or no repercussions because in the past there were only warnings by refuge staff and Border Patrol to stay out. Recent citations, yes. Prosecution, no. But several months after that trip, in the summer of 2017, volunteers say the Border Patrol appeared to change the policy from only citing volunteers to pushing for prosecution. But the Border Patrol claims they're only enforcing the policies on the books. The 4 women volunteers went on trial in mid-January. It all culminated here in Tucson in front of a federal magistrate.
Now, cameras are not allowed inside the federal courthouse, but that didn't stop supporters of No More Deaths from packing the courtroom all 3 days of the trial, and it didn't stop them from showing their presence outside of the courthouse.
At the end of the 3-day trial, U.S. Magistrate Judge Bernardo Velasco convicted the 4 volunteers on all charges. Now, while they may have lost the legal battle, Catherine Gaffney maintains No More Deaths won the information wars.
We laid out a really compelling case. We succeeded in putting the border crisis on trial and really putting pressure on the government to answer, why are you prosecuting humanitarian aid volunteers when thousands of people are dying in this desert?
That there are people who are being targeted every day in these borderlands.
And, says Gaffney, there will be no changes in how No More Deaths carries out their mission. Now, taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture is ACLU Arizona attorney Billy Peard. He says, don't look at the recent conviction as a loss. Instead, look at the groundwork defense attorneys laid for an appeal.
The attorneys in these cases, from what I can tell, have thrown a lot of resources at it. They've made a lot of really important motions, pre-trial motions, on a number of different discrete legal issues, any one of which of those arguments could win the day. So in other words, if there's a conviction in the next week in this case and it goes up on appeal, if any one of the several pre-trial motions that had been filed win on appeal, that ought to be enough to overturn the convictions.
Defense attorneys are planning an appeal, and they are preparing for more trials of No More Deaths volunteers for similar infractions later this spring, with the same judge presiding.
Frankly, No More Deaths is a community of people of conscience who volunteer their time to go out into the desert, where we know thousands are dying, and put out water and do simple acts of basic human kindness that respond.
While there is disagreement among some migrant aid groups on the tactics of No More Deaths, there is no argument when it comes to their mission.
I absolutely will affirm anybody that wants to get water in the desert. You know, it has to be there.
While the mission of No More Deaths is to leave water in the desert to save lives, in the long run, their greatest contribution, they say, may just be their battles in court.
Okay, so
Peard of the ACLU agrees.
If there's a legal victory on the part of the humanitarian aid workers, I would hope that that would send a signal to the local community that their humanitarian aid mission over the last 20 plus years has been vindicated in some way, and that they can feel more confident in going out into the desert and doing the important work that they're doing.